Today's lesson is on organization theories. The first of the three theories presented in your module is contingency theory. This claims that there is no best way to organize a corporation, to lead a company, or to make decisions. Instead, the optimal course of action for organizational effectiveness is contingent or dependent upon the internal and external situation. The contingency approach, also called the situational approach, is based upon the premise that all management is essentially situational in nature. All decisions by managers will be affected by the contingencies of a given situation. Under this theory, there are contingency factors influencing organizational structure, leading to organizational effectiveness. First, environment uncertainty. Organizations are open systems which adapt to a dynamic environment in order for them to survive. Many of the things that happen around us are truly uncertain. They're very difficult to predict. And most of them are beyond our control. The COVID-19 pandemic outbreak has forced many businesses to close. Nobody knew that something like this would happen in our lifetime. And even if we had thoughts about it, we wouldn't have been ready. But now, businesses don't have other choice but to come up with strategies that could help them remain resilient. Next, technology. Today's business environment demands technological advancements. Technology moves so fast. We don't have any other choice but to learn how to cope. So, managers should be able to come up with strategies that could match the technology available nowadays. Next is the size of organization. Organizations tend to expand in size, which should also be considered. New strategies will be required as the organization changes in size. Lastly, we have strategy or strategic choices. This pertains to the identified way to best accomplish the goal. From time to time, we change our strategies. And that's the reason why we have to learn to adjust to whatever changes we make. The next theory is resource-based theory. This contends that the possession of strategic resources provides an organization with a golden opportunity to develop competitive advantages over its rivals. Resource-based theory states that the possession of resources is valuable, difficult to imitate, rare, and cannot be substituted. The role of human resources is especially highlighted in your module. Human resources are viewed as the most crucial source of competitive advantage since they carry out the strategies of the business organization. This is based on the idea that an organization's objectives, strategies, and activities require a unique set of behavior and attitude from the organization's managers and workers. So, it is important then to develop the skills, talents, attitudes, and competencies of our human resources. The third theory presented in your module is the Stakeholder Theory. This considers the needs of various stakeholders of the organization. If an organization wants to be effective, it should pay attention to the relationships that can affect the achievement of organizational objectives. A stakeholder is a person or entity that interacts with an organization. It can be classified as internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. In general, when we say stakeholder, we are referring to a person with an interest or concern in a business. These stakeholders affect and are affected by the organization. In relation to the theory, the relationships between internal and external stakeholders must be managed well considering the inherent nature of these stakeholders. Our customers, employees, suppliers, the government, the local community, our creditors are examples of our stakeholders. Since an organization needs to take account of the varying needs of different stakeholders, the theory emphasizes the necessity of being socially responsible. In 1991, the pyramid of CSR was introduced, and this suggests that a business has to fulfill responsibility at 4 levels: economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropic. But what is corporate social responsibility? Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is the idea that a business has a responsibility to the society that exists around it. Corporate social responsibility is a broad concept that can take many forms depending on the company and industry. Through CSR programs, businesses can benefit society while boosting their brands. Firms that embrace CSR are typically organized in a manner that empowers them to be and act in a socially responsible way. It is a form of self-regulation that can be expressed in initiatives or strategies depending on the goals of the organization. Exactly what socially responsible means would vary from organization to organization. Firms are often guided by a concept known as the triple bottom line. This dictates that the business should be committed to measuring its social and environmental impact along with its profits. Starbucks has long been known for its keen sense of corporate social responsibility and commitment to sustainability and community welfare. According to the company, they have achieved many of its CSR milestones since they started the business. According to the 2020 Global Social Impact Report of the company, these milestones include reaching 100% of ethically sourced coffee, creating a global network of farmers, and providing them 100 million trees by 2025, pioneering green building throughout its stores, contributing millions of hours of community service, and creating a groundbreaking college program for its employees. Starbucks goals for 2021 and beyond include hiring 5,000 veterans and 10,000 refugees, reducing the environmental impact of its cups, and engaging its employees in environmental leadership. Their 2020 report also showed how Starbucks planned to help the world navigate the coronavirus pandemic. The company's response to the pandemic focuses on 3 essential elements. What are they? Prioritizing the health of its customers and employees, supporting health and government officials in their attempts to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, and showing up for communities through responsible and positive actions. So let us now go over the 4 levels of the pyramid of CSR. Economic responsibility. This is the lowest level of the pyramid. It represents a business's first responsibility, that is, to be profitable. Without profit, the company would not be able to pay their workers. Employees will lose their jobs even before the company starts corporate social responsibility activities. Being profitable is the only way for a company to be able to survive long term and benefit society. Additionally, this also means that it is a company's duty to produce goods and services that are needed or wanted by the customers at a reasonable price. Take note that the end goal is not to simply maximize profits, but positively impact the environment, people, and society. Economic social responsibility begins with being profitable. Before a business can give back, it must be sustainable. Sustainability includes making a profit for shareholders, paying its employees its compensation, paying business taxes, and meeting all other financial obligations. Businesses can show economic social responsibility by being transparent with all their stakeholders regarding the financial status of their business. The second level is legal responsibility. This is the business's legal obligation to obey the law. This is the most important responsibility out of the four levels, as this will show how companies conduct their business in the marketplace. Employment laws, competition with other companies, tax regulations, health and safety of employees are some examples of legal responsibilities a company should adhere to. Failing to be legally responsible can be very bad for businesses. Society has not only sanctioned businesses as economic entities, but it also has established the minimal ground rules under which businesses are expected to operate and function. These ground rules include laws and regulations and in effect reflect society's view of codified ethics. They articulate fundamental notions of fair business practices as established by lawmakers at the local and national levels. Businesses are expected and required to comply with these laws and regulations as a condition of operating. It is not an accident that compliance officers now occupy an important and high-level position in company organization charts. Many corporations, even in the Philippines, have already adopted this practice. While meeting these legal responsibilities, important expectations of business include their performing in a manner consistent with expectations of government and law, complying with various local and national regulations, conducting themselves as law-abiding corporate citizens, fulfilling all their legal obligations to societal stakeholders, and providing goods and services that at least meet minimum legal requirements. Consumers are more likely to buy products and utilize services from companies they trust. This may sound basic, but not being attentive to our legal obligations can lead the business into being sued and can hurt the business's reputation. And remember that your reputation is vital to your success. The next level is ethical responsibility. The ethical layer of the pyramid is described as doing the right thing, being fair in all situations, and also avoiding harm. A company should not only be obeying the law, but it should also do their business ethically. Unlike the first two levels that we have discussed, this is something that a company is not obligated to do. However, it is best for a company to be ethical, as this not only shows their stakeholders that they are moral and just, but people will feel more comfortable dealing with them. Being environmentally friendly, treating suppliers or employees properly are just few of the examples of being ethically responsible. Taking on ethical responsibilities imply that organizations will embrace activities, norms, standards, and practices that even though they are not codified into law, are expected nonetheless. Another aspect of ethical expectation is that businesses will conduct their affairs in a fair and objective fashion, even in those cases when laws do not provide guidance or dictate courses of action. While meeting all ethical responsibilities, important expectations of business include their performing in a manner consistent with expectations of societal mores and ethical norms, recognizing and respecting new or evolving ethical moral norms adopted by society, preventing ethical norms from being compromised in order to achieve business goals, being good corporate citizens by doing what is expected morally and or ethically, and also recognizing that business integrity and ethical behavior go beyond just compliance with laws and regulations. At the top of the pyramid, occupying the smallest space, is philanthropy, or the philanthropic responsibility. Businesses have long been criticized for their carbon footprint, their part in pollution, using natural resources, and more. To counterbalance these negatives, they should give back to the community they take from. Even though this is the highest level of CSR, it should not be taken lightly, as many people would want to do business with companies that are giving back to society. Philanthropic responsibility is more than just doing what is right, but it is something that holds true to the company's values to give back to the society. Corporate philanthropy includes all forms of business giving. Corporate philanthropy embraces businesses' voluntary or discretionary activities. Philanthropy or business giving may not be a responsibility in a literal sense, but it is normally expected by businesses today and is a part of the everyday expectations of the public. Certainly, the quantity and nature of these activities are voluntary or discretionary, meaning they are guided by businesses' desire to participate in social activities that are not mandated, not required by law, and not generally expected of business in an ethical sense. To fulfill its perceived philanthropic responsibilities, companies engage in a variety of giving forms. Gifts of monetary resources, which we often see especially during the Christmas season, product and service donations, which we often see especially when there are calamities, volunteerism by employees and management. So sometimes they have blood donation drive or they go tree planting, community development, and any other discretionary contribution to the community or stakeholder groups that make up the community. Evidence links socially responsible business practices to improve financial performance. This is attributable to lower cost or increased revenue from customers who want to support business that reflect their personal values. An organization's CSR practices might also increase employee loyalty, which lowers the cost of turnover. It also helps attract potential applicants or employees willing to work for less for a company whose values they share. Some CSR actions, such as investing in renewable energy, can provide tax benefits or lead to technology innovations that create competitive advantage for the company. Other financial benefits from the corporate social responsibility accrue directly to shareholders. Socially conscious investors may prefer to own shares of a company that shows good corporate social responsibility, and this can lead to higher share prices. As future business owners, do not forget that when you conceptualize your strategies, always take into consideration your company's social responsibility. Thank you for attending today's session, and I hope that you have learned something from my short lecture.